Welcome back to our 1-hour special on wilderness here on the county seat. We are reaching the end of our broadcast, and during the last hour we have discussed wilderness. We've defined what it is, what effects it has on Utah, and we've explored some of the solutions that might put an end to the debate. But there's one nagging issue that remains. Who should decide? Should it be the federal government who can make a decision that's best for the entire nation? Or should it be made at a local level where the people know the land the best? They have been the custodians of it for all these years. So let's explore that possibility.
The federal government is theoretically able to take, both geographically and chronologically, to take the long view as to what's the best use for all this land.
Well, the decisions made about public lands in Utah impact Utahns more than anyone else. That doesn't mean we ignore other interests, and as part of these stakeholder processes, we can have people from out of the state weigh in, but let's listen most closely to those who are most impacted by the decision.
Well, I think in Utah particularly, and other places in the West, there's been a lot of discussion over the years about what to do with these public lands, and finally making decisions about creating wilderness and creating some permanence, creating some finality to the discussion is important. There's a lot of changes that go on in terms of how the land is managed. You got wilderness study areas and other designations and so on. So I think coming together and making final decisions about how this land is going to be managed in the long term has some real benefits. Because I do think there are threats that we don't know about. I think it behooves us to make good decisions now. And again, preserve those areas that clearly deserve protection, because something could come along down the road to threaten them.
Whatever designation is put in place, whether it's a wilderness study area or wilderness area, that local communities are involved. One of the things that we don't want to see is the federal government coming into Utah and telling us how it's going to be or where it's going to be. We need to use the wisdom of the local communities to make those decisions and be involved. And ultimately, if the federal government wants to designate a wilderness area, it should be done with that local input.
So who will have the final say when we decide about wilderness? Will it be the federal government, or will it be the state and local governments? Well, you have a say in it as well by becoming part of the debate. Thank you for tuning in for this special wilderness edition of the county seat. We hope the information we've been able to give to you is constructive and that you will use it to engage in the conversation and help us decide the future of Utah. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with another county seat, regular time, where we cover the issues important to local government and your local community. We'll see you then.
Now, what do you do in the Lake Tahoe area in January when there's no snow? Join me, Stephen Human, on At Your Leisure, coming up next as I find out. We'll actually frame up the perfect family vacation with activities for the teens and adults, right alongside getaways for the very young in your clan. Then, for those of you who are dying for a good snow destination and disappointed by the dry winter so far, well, we have a treat for you in an area where the snow is deep and plentiful. So join me, Stephen Human, on At Your Leisure's 10th season, coming up next right here on ABC4.